comment,
and subscribe for more content.
Where's the notification bell?
It's to the right of you.
Oh.
Ooh, what's up, guys? Welcome to this edition of a Funko Popcast. I'm DK Wrestler.
And I'm MB Shady.
And in today's podcast, we got quite a bit of Funko Pops to talk about, especially what will be our main focus for today's podcast, that being the New York Comic-Con 2021 exclusive Funko Pops, which we are pumped to be discussing about those. We'll be talking about both day one and day two reveals and talk about what our favorite and least favorite from that day will be. But we also have some non-convention pops that range from October 1st to October 5th that we will kick off the podcast discussing about, since there was only 2 days of New York Comic-Con reveals. So we might as well just throw the first set of October pops along with that. So without further ado, we'll kick off with that first set of non-convention October 2021 Funko Pops, which kicks off on October 1st, which we have ourselves the 1990 animated series Spider-Man Pops, which we got ourselves Spider-Man, Dr. Octopus, a Madam Web Pop Deluxe, Black Cat, a Hobgoblin, and a glow-in-the-dark Hobgoblin that will be a part of a Pop and Tea bundle, all exclusive to Target, and pre-orders have since sold out, but it's unknown yet of when these will actually be released. On that same day, Funko had announced another Pop Deluxe albums, and it is of Queen's Greatest Hits, which in this Pop album, we obviously have Freddie Mercury, Roger Taylor, Brian May, and John Deacon. This is a Walmart exclusive, and this is expected to release as early as December 2021. On that same day, Funko had announced a pop of Infinity Ultron for the What If lineup, which this is expected to release as early as December 2021. Once again, on that same day, Funko had announced a set of Ghostbusters Afterlife Pops, which we have common pops of Phoebe, Podcast, Lucky, Mr. Gruberson, Trevor with Ecto-1 Pop Rides, Muncher, and then various variants of the Mini Puff, which we have one on fire with lighter, umbrella, graham cracker, and in cappuccino, with exclusive pops of many variants of Mini Puff, which one is holding a pizza, which will be going to 7-Eleven, one having a set of headphones, which will be going to Walmart, with wires, which will be going to Target, with weights, which will be going to the Funko shop, a glow-in-the-dark Muncher, which will be going to FYE, a Mini Puff with ice cream, which will be going to Baskin Robbins, and then a glow-in-the-dark Mini Puff on fire, which will be a part of a Pop and Tea bundle and will be going to Target. And these are expected to release as early as November 2021. And last but not least, on October 1st, Funko had announced the next pop involved in the Year of the Shield set, and it is of Taskmaster. This will obviously be an Amazon exclusive, and it is available now. Then on October 4th, Jurassic World had announced their own exclusive 2-pack of Blue and T-Rex from obviously Jurassic World, in which this is unknown yet of when these are actually going to be released. On that same day, Funko had announced a brand new masked variant of Gabriel Iglesias, which this is a Funko Hollywood exclusive limited to 5,000 pieces. And this was available during the Gabriel Iglesias signing last week on October 6th. And last but not least, for this set of Funko Pops, we have ourselves a Diamond Collection Twist of Fate Wonder Woman, which will be exclusive to the DC shop. It is available for pre-order now, and it's expected to release as early as February 2022, I'm pretty sure. So kicking off with the 90s animated Spider-Man Pops, which these are sweet. I feel like besides the Sam Raimi Spider-Man Pops, these have been kind of the most requested Spider-Man Pops that fans have been wanting. And these are really cool, especially the Spider-Man looks pretty decent. The Doc Ock or Dr. Octopus is pretty cool also, since we did have one a few years ago, and now you have more of an updated mold, and it looks pretty awesome. Madam Web, I don't know how many people really enjoyed that, but I think people really enjoyed the Black Cat. And then people are really pumped about a new variant of Hobgoblin, because we remember how that old variant of Hobgoblin looks like. And you look at this and it's like, oh, this is so much better than the old one. And especially you have a glow in the dark variant. There'll be a Pop and Tea bundle, which the shirt looks awesome. The box, meh, because they're going in that new trend of the rectangular box and nothing really too exciting. The Queen Pop Deluxe albums, I like the idea that they made another Queen album, especially in the Pop Deluxe. But the thing I'm not liking about this is because it is the greatest hits album, they don't match what the attires are on the album itself. Like Freddie Mercury, it's just him in his like 70s gear and not him in that black leather jacket with the short hair and the mustache. I just find it weird that they just kind of slapped slightly different variants of already existing pops of the band members for Queen and then just make it for a greatest hits. I felt like this would have been a perfect opportunity to kind of acknowledge, let's say, I can't even remember the name of the album. It's something Night of the Opera, I think it is, the album that Bohemian Rhapsody is on. That's what they should have done with this if they were going to do, especially these variants. Infinity Ultron, when I seen this revealed, it was kind of a spoiler for me because I've been a little bit behind on some TV shows, especially What If. I haven't seen I believe it's last two episodes, because I think last week's episode, as we are recording this, was the final episode of season 1, I believe. So I was a little far behind and I didn't really know what was going on with Infinity Ultron, but this is pretty decent. I like the detail involved with this. Ghostbusters Afterlife. I think I seen part of a teaser trailer, but I know they recently did another trailer and I don't think I've seen it yet, but these are pretty decent. It was really funny to me to see that one of the characters' name is Podcast. I can tell just from the pop itself, and I already heard he was a part of the cast, is that Mr. Gruberson is played by Paul Rudd. And I can definitely tell just because it's the same mold as this character that Trevor with the Ecto-1, that is played by the guy who plays Mike in Stranger Things. So I know that he's in the movie also. So I guess it's pretty cool that he gets his own Ecto-1 there. The Muncher, pretty decent. And then you got all these mini puffs, which holy crap. So I remember seeing kind of like a leak or a rumor about a mini puff pop, but I didn't expect there to be like 20 of them. Like I can already tell they might be doing this because I have a feeling that mini puff may be possibly in popularity like the next Baby Yoda / Grogu. Like I see toy companies, including obviously Funko, just pumping up so many different variants of mini puff. And I won't be surprised if there's even more mini puffs besides the ones we have here. And a lot of people are a fan of the lighter one, which it's okay. My only gripe is that like you could see the fire, but he's not pulling the button that turns on the lighter. So I don't know. Maybe it's because the arms are too short and you can't do that. But I don't know. It's a little gripe there. And the cappuccino one is pretty cool also. I think my personal favorite has to be the one with the pizza, probably because I like pizza, but I just like the facial expression and the fact that it's also going to 7-Eleven, which they do now sell pizza, which definitely makes sense. And a lot of people, though, I think the most hyped mini puff pop has to be the ice cream one going to Baskin Robbins. Totally makes sense. He's holding a scoop of ice cream. It'll be a Baskin Robbins exclusive. I believe this is now the second one because the first one was Steve from Stranger Things. So I think this is the second Baskin Robbins exclusive that Funko has done with a pop. And I'm sure that a lot of these mini puffs are going to sell well, especially the Pop and Tea bundle. Then we have Taskmaster, which I don't really know the character besides seeing Black Widow recently, but I do like this variant of Taskmaster better than what we've gotten recently as terms to that Black Widow set. And from the other pops that I can't exactly remember what they look like, this just really stands out to me. And I think it's a really cool pop. Then we have the 2-pack of Blue and T-Rex from Jurassic World, which these are okay. I think these are just, once again, they're two singular pops we already got. They're slapped into a 2-pack and they're going to be sold at the Jurassic World Experience, I think it is, the exhibition. Yeah, that's what it's called, the exhibition. The Gabriel Iglesias masked pop. I didn't even know that this was actually like a pop they were selling. I just thought like they just added a photo like that just to promote the signing. But I guess it does make sense that if he's going to do a signing, they'll release another pop so that you can get something signed if you don't have a Gabriel Iglesias pop to already get signed or just anything in general for him to sign. So I guess this is okay. I still don't know how I feel about them continuing to pump up Gabriel Iglesias pops when there are going to be so many different comedians. The first maybe 2 were fine, but then they did like the Day of the Dead one that was 4,000 pieces. Then you have this one that's 5,000 pieces, and one I'm probably forgetting also because I feel like this is the 5th one or the 4th. I don't even know. They've made too many to the point where I don't really care much about this pop, to be honest. Then we have the Diamond Collection Wonder Woman, which this is okay. I mean, it makes sense for the attire to be Diamond Collection, I guess. But I mean, I hate how DC Shop, like I mentioned, I think it was last week on the podcast, actually, that they just make all their exclusives is just already existing characters, but they have a specification, whether it's metallic, Diamond Collection, flocked, whatever. So it doesn't really appeal to me, but I'm sure that a lot of people are going to get this, especially if you don't have a pop with a DC Shop exclusive sticker.
Okay, starting off with the 1990 Spider-Man animated series pops. These are wicked. This is so cool. And I don't know what it is about it. I feel like the 90s were such a great time for Marvel and DC for animated things, at least. Like, just so cool with how like the X-Men is huge for 90s. And this animated series of Spider-Man, obviously, as well. And these are awesome. I think I might end up collecting all 5 of these pops, skipping out on the common Hobgoblin, and I'll probably end up getting that Pop and T bundle because that shirt is sweet. And if I don't end up getting it, I will definitely be ending up getting the common because I definitely need one of those Hobgoblin figures. The Dr. Octopus is pretty cool as well. Spider-Man's decent. I mean, it would be cool to see maybe another version or two, like exclusive versions of him. But overall, I think this wave is a pretty good start for this series, which has obviously been long awaited. Then we have the Queen Greatest Hits Pop Albums Deluxe. And this is okay. I mean, DK summed it up pretty well. Like the Greatest Hits album, not one of the coolest covers. The pops also don't match the attire, so it's kind of weird. I think this is like the first pop albums where it's like, even though I'm kind of trying to go for a complete set, I could probably pass on this one, honestly. Then we have the Infinity Ultron, and this is a pretty interesting pop. I know I say that a lot for the What If pops, but I feel like just the character designs from that show are so crazy, and I've still yet to watch it, and I definitely need to do so because it seems like something that I would definitely enjoy. The Ghostbusters Afterlife pops. I'm so excited for this movie. I love the Ghostbusters, and I'm so excited that we're getting a new movie. Yes, Finn Wolfhard is in the Ecto one, which is so cool. You can tell it's him by that curly hair. I'm excited to see him play this role in Ghostbusters. He's just an amazing actor and person in general. I love everything that he does. So I'll probably end up getting that pop rides. This will be one of the first pop rides that I've bought in, which feels like forever, honestly. But yeah, these are really cool. And then we have obviously the Mini Puffs, which I didn't even know about Mini Puff. Like, I didn't think this was a character. I didn't know about it until I seen these pops. That made me a lot more excited for this movie because Stay Puft Marshmallow Man obviously is like a sensational character. He's an icon nowadays. And I feel like, yeah, he's kind of going to be the next Grogu, this Mini Puff. I don't know if it'll be to the exact extent of Grogu because Grogu is obviously becoming like an icon. You can't go to a store really without seeing something Grogu somewhere. But these are awesome. I really love all of these pops. I would consider buying all of them, I'm not going to lie, but I don't have room for that many. I will definitely be getting the one with the lighter because I do feel like that is my personal favorite. I will probably get the 7-Eleven exclusive because 7-Eleven exclusives are cool. The pizza's cool. And then it would also be cool to get the Baskin Robbins exclusive one with the ice cream, considering I do have actually 2 of the Baskin Robbins Steves, one signed by Joe Keery. So maybe it'd be cool to get like the voice actor, considering there's probably a voice actor for this character or whoever, someone from the movie to sign that pop. I think it'd be cool to have matching Baskin Robbins signed pops. But overall, all of these mini puffed pops are just so adorable and they're really funny. There's a lot of different facial expressions going on, whether it's like sad or menacing or super happy. And the t-shirt is also really cool. I enjoy the logo looks on the t-shirt. I think it does a good job of giving that marshmallow feel. And it's also cool that we have multiple versions of the mini puffed on the t-shirt instead of having just like, let's say, one big one. And then the box is also awesome. I mean, it's a box where it doesn't have a window, which is really cool. We haven't really been seeing much of that. And I mean, the burn holes are really cool. And then he's kind of busting out of the box on the logo there, which is sweet. We kind of, on the last pod or the pod before that, we kind of talked about how we miss boxes like this and we're finally getting them again, which is a step in the right direction. Then we have the Taskmaster for Year of the Shield. This is a cool looking pop. I actually really enjoy this pop. Obviously, the Year of the Shield pops go to Amazon, but this feels like a Walgreens exclusive pop because the Walgreens exclusive Marvel pops are just usually really nice, simplistic, but also detailed pops. And I feel like that's exactly what we have with this pop. Next up, we have Blue and T-Rex. This is all right. I mean, I feel like we need to see more two packs. I feel like we haven't really gotten a good two pack in a while. The last one I can think of is maybe the Brian Mariotti and Mike Becker pop two pack. But this is okay. But yeah, it does kind of feel like the Barnes and Noble thing where you just take two pops that are already existing and slap them together. But it's all right. Then we have the Gabriel Iglesias. And yeah, I feel like it's kind of getting outdone now with Gabriel Iglesias. It's cool. I mean, obviously, he loves Funko and he's doing signings, which is awesome. And if I could have been there, I'm sure I would have picked this pop up and got it signed. But I also have the original Gabriel Iglesias pop signed. So I feel like we should kind of go towards doing other things rather than just Gabriel Iglesias. But it's not a terrible pop. And lastly, we have the Diamond Collection Wonder Woman. And I feel like Diamond Collection Wonder Womans are always just pretty good. So there's not a whole lot to say about this, but I don't mind this version of the pop. And being Diamond Collection for Wonder Woman makes sense. So overall, it's a decent pop.
Are you looking for great pop protectors? Then look no further than popbox.ca. They have a variety of 4-inch and 6-inch protectors in different quantities. Do you want to get 10 protectors, 20? You can get even up to 250 pop protectors over on popbox.ca. And also use our promo code of Funko Popcast for 10% off of your entire purchase of pop protectors. The code is going on until supplies last. So go get your pop protector needs now over on popbox.ca using our code of Funko Popcast to get 10% off and also free shipping over $75 in both Canada and the US with duty fees included.
And let me tell you guys, we're not just screwing around here. These are some great pop protectors. We own a multitude of these protectors. They are some of the best I've seen. Stop buying from EB Games. I'm not boycotting EB Games by any means, but their pop protectors are not as good. So again, use code Funko Popcast for 10% off.
All right, so now we're going to talk about New York Comic Con exclusives. More specifically, at the moment, we have day one reveals, which happened on October 4th. So kicking off, we have Carnage from Venom Let There Be Carnage, which was shared with Walmart in both Canada and the US, followed by Polaris from X-Men, which was shared to GameStop in both Canada and the US. An unmasked Boba Fett from The Mandalorian, which was shared with Walmart in both Canada and the US. Savant from The Suicide Squad, which was shared with Amazon in both Canada and the US. From Masters of the Universe, we have Snakeface and Zodak, which Snakeface was shared with GameStop in both Canada and the US, and Zodak was shared with Toy Tokyo in the US and Toys R Us here in Canada. A 6-inch Tiamat from Dungeons and Dragons, which is shared with GameStop in both Canada and the US. We have Lafayette from Hamilton, which is shared to Amazon in both Canada and the US. And last but not least, we have a Polly Pigeon with a white and green attire, which was limited to 1,500 pieces, meaning con only / the Funko shop. Kicking off with the Carnage Pop, which this is pretty cool. I ended up getting this online for pre-order. I think the detail is excellent on this. I know a lot of people did not like this pop because it just looks like poop to them, but I think it looks pretty decent. And I've actually been able to see the actual, like, what the pop looks like now instead of what we have in the glam shot. And it does have a bit of that bloodshot red that I was hoping the pop would have. So it is much better in person than we have in the glam shot because it has that brownish color, kind of like what you see with the Tom Bruce monster from Stranger Things in the glam shot. But it's more of a bloodshot red, which is what I was hoping it would be. Polaris from X-Men. This is pretty decent. I like the fact that this is glow in the dark because of the fact that green is one of, if not the best colors that glow in the dark. So I'm glad that this pop glows in the dark. Then we have ourselves the unmasked Boba Fett from The Mandalorian. And I think this pop is pretty sweet, especially because, yes, we had an unmasked Boba Fett that was announced during the Mandalorian reveals like 3 weeks ago, I want to say. But this is Boba Fett when you first see him and you don't quite know yet if it's Boba Fett or not, while the other one is unmasked Boba Fett when he gets his attire back, essentially. So I like how they did this pop, and I like how they made it a Comic-Con exclusive, especially a Walmart shared Comic-Con exclusive, because I think that Boba Fett unmasked for the Mandalorian set where he has the attire on is a Walmart exclusive. So essentially you could pick up both of those Boba Fett's over at Walmart. Then we have Savant from the Suicide Squad, which this was a surprising character from the Suicide Squad. I kind of figured there would have been a Suicide Squad pop because the movie did well in the theaters, but I didn't know it was going to be Savant. I thought it was going to be the Weasel, which I'm sure if anyone who's watched the movie, they know who the Weasel is, and we're surprised that the Weasel was not the character chosen, but Savant is still pretty cool, especially because the character is played by Michael Rooker, and we have seen previous Michael Rooker pops as Comic-Con exclusives, so this definitely made sense. The Masters of the Universe pops, these are pretty detailed. The snake eyes has, or not snake eyes, the snake face has quite a bit of detail, especially with the snakes coming out of the eye sockets and just the staff that it's holding. Everything about it is super detailed. And Zodak is a little bit, I guess, basic, but it's also detailed at the same time. But a lot of people are really hyped for this Zodak pop. I think people still want a Tila pop, and we still haven't gotten a Tila pop. So maybe in 2022 for possibly Emerald City Comic-Con, we could possibly get a Tila pop finally. Then we have the 6-inch Tiamat from Dungeons and Dragons, and holy moly, this thing has a lot of detail. Once again, Funko just killing it with the Dungeons and Dragons pops with the amount of detail. A 5-headed dragon, and you only have to pay Pop Deluxe price. That's pretty good if you ask me. That's a bit of a bang for your buck. You also get a sweet D20 dice, which looks pretty sweet compared to the other D20 dice because it's nice and green, and it kind of actually stands out compared to the pop figure itself. Even though there is a green head for the dragon, it's more of a brighter green, so it kind of stands out compared to the dragon's heads, and this is really cool. I kind of want to see this more in person myself. I have seen in-person photos, but I kind of want to see this for myself to look at how great the detail is, but this is excellent. Then we have Lafayette from Hamilton, which I have not seen Hamilton yet. I am so far behind on so many different movies and things, and Hamilton is just not on my priority list right now. But I'm not saying like I'm not watching it because it's terrible. I haven't seen it, so I can't say it's terrible. I know a lot of people were pretty hyped for this pop and were doing quotes from this character. I can't exactly remember what the quote was, but there is some hype, but I don't know. It's just not really my thing. Then we have the 1,500 piece Polly Pigeon. When I originally shared about this pop on our Instagram page, I didn't share it because I thought this was the pop for the early reveals from New York Comic Con themselves with the pizza wrap, but this is actually a different colorway because the one announced by New York Comic Con that was 2,500 pieces was a green and white colorway, and this is a white and green colorway. Both basically, I'm assuming it's representing the New York Jets because they kind of do that with the colors where they go with the New York sports team. So assuming this is the New York Jets, because that's all I could think of, that is a green and white sports team essentially, and would be in New York is the Jets. Otherwise, like the Giants, I'm pretty sure are orange and blue, and that would be the same thing with the Islanders, and then white and blue for probably the Rangers and possibly the Yankees also, maybe white and black. But yeah, this definitely is representing the New York Jets for this, and this is all right. And I guess I am going to say right now, because this is last pop, this is my least favorite pop from day one, just because I'm never interested in the Polly Pigeon pops. And my personal favorite probably has to be the Carnage, just because I'm looking for a complete Carnage collection, and it was essentially the only pop out of these day one reveals that I ended up actually getting.
Okay, finally we get to talk about New York Comic Con pops. I was very excited for this con. I mean, it felt like we were just waiting and waiting, and it's like, okay, when are the releases going to be announced? And they finally were, and there's some good stuff, that's for sure. So starting off with the Carnage pop, this pop is pretty cool. I knew when I seen it, I was like, oh, DK will be getting that, considering he is going for a full set of Carnage released pops, which is awesome. And yeah, I could see why people wouldn't like this pop. It definitely does look kind of just one stationary color, but I bet it looks better in person. I've yet to see it, but I'm sure there is a lot of small good details on this pop, which you can kind of see from the picture that we got. Then we have Polaris, and this pop is actually pretty sweet. I really enjoy the character of Polaris. I mean, it's Scarlet Witch's half sister, so you can't go wrong with that. I mean, They look so cool. Like, I feel like if you had the Polaris pop and you had one of the Wanda Maximoff or Scarlet Witch pops together, I think they would look really, really sweet. So that's a cool pop. And I'm just surprised that we didn't see it get postponed for Emerald City Comic Con just because of how green this pop is. Then we have the unmasked Boba Fett from Mandalorian, and this pop is sweet. I'm sure people are going nuts over this pop, but it just sucks that we kind of had that other release where it kind of like devalues this pop, I guess. This pop won't be as sought after because it's not the only kind of Boba Fett that you can get this way, which is unfortunate, especially considering it's a Star Wars con pop. Then we have Savant, I believe his name is, or Savant or whatever, from the Suicide Squad. And this is a cool looking pop. Not surprised that this is a con pop. And I could see people liking this considering the Suicide Squad, I believe a lot of people had pretty good reviews of. Then we have the Masters of the Universe pops, and these are cool. I always love seeing new Masters of the Universe pops because it makes me want to watch the series more and collect more of the OG toys. I do have a couple of the toys, but these are cool. Maybe I might get into collecting Masters of the Universe pops one day. Then we have Tiamat, and oh god, this thing is crazy. I'm really loving the Dungeons and Dragons pops. I have most of them, and I will be getting this pop. It's really cool. I do really enjoy that green D20 that you get with it, but I think it would have been really sweet if they would have kind of sectioned the dice off where it had like 5 colors, one of each head. I think that dice would have looked so cool to match the pop just that much more. But this thing's awesome. And I was very scared when it was released because I was like, oh God, how much is this thing going to cost? One, being a con pop, and then 2, being like a 6-inch pop. And then it has so much detail, so many heads that I figured Funko would be like, okay, this is going to be more expensive than your regular 6-inch pop, but it's not. So I'm very excited, and that's why I will be getting this pop for sure. Then we have Lafayette from Hamilton, and this is awesome. Daveed Diggs was arguably one of, he was probably, I would say, the fan favorite actor from the movie. And if you want to call it a movie, I love Hamilton. I've only seen it once, and I do plan on watching it many more times because it's just such a great work of art. And this pop is awesome. I would probably get this pop, but I feel like I need to buy those common Hamilton pops first, or maybe just get a couple of characters. And like I said, how Daveed Diggs was definitely one of the fan favorites. I could see myself getting this pop first before any of them. Then we have the Polly Pigeon. This is all right. I don't know if I like this one more than the other green and white one, but I definitely do like it more than the one that we seen last year. It's all right. And I do like how they do the thing where they match the sports teams for New York. That's really interesting, but I couldn't see myself buying this pop. So for day one, my favorite pop would have to be, oh, that's a tough one. I'll probably go with Tiamat because that's the pop that I will be getting 100%. My least favorite would have to be, unfortunately, the Polly Pigeon because I'm not a huge fan of them, but I also don't think they're terrible.
All right, so now we're going to move on to the second and surprisingly final day of NYCC reveals, which kicking off, we have ourselves My Hero Academia pops with All Might, which was shared with GameStop in both Canada and the US, and a translucent Suyu, which is shared with Hot Topic in both Canada and the US. Then we have ourselves Pumpkin McNugget for the McDonald's lineup, which this is shared to Golden Arches Unlimited and the Funko Shop in the US, and then Toys R Us in Canada. Mo Shroot from The Office, which was shared with GameStop in both Canada and the US. A Diamond Collection Eevee from Pokemon, which was shared with Hot Topic in both Canada and the US. A Stitch with Drawing from Lilo and Stitch, which was shared with Box Lunch in the US and GameStop here in Canada. Three Musketeers Goofy, which was shared with Amazon in both Canada and the US. The Dutch Child from It's a Small World, which was shared with the Funko Shop in the US and Toys R Us here in Canada. Arthur pulling Excalibur Pop Deluxe from The Sword and the Stone, which was shared with the Funko Shop in the US and Toys R Us here in Canada. Then some announcements that weren't actually announced by Funko during reveals, but until they did the shared retailers list, we have ourselves Yzma's cat in the Scout Leader outfit, which was shared with Box Lunch in the US and Toys R Us here in Canada. And then Jiraiya from Naruto, which was shared with Hot Topic in both Canada and the US. So kicking off with the My Hero Academia pops, which in a way, one was technically already announced. All Might is wicked. I love this variant of All Might from the most recent season that hasn't been made into pop form. So season 4, because I know they're on season 5. This is really detailed. I always love this mold of All Might more than the buffed version, in my opinion, just because you get more detail out of the facial sculpt and the hair sculpt also. And then the translucent Suyu, which was already announced last year at New York Toy Fair, but was originally canceled due to what was going on originally with the pandemic, and now is being re-released, or finally released, I should say, as a Comic-Con exclusive. So I guess it is a 2021 pop now. This is pretty decent. It's cool that we're finally getting this because, like I mentioned, this was originally announced in 2020, and now about a year and a half after the announcement of this pop, we are finally getting this pop as a New York Comic-Con exclusive. These are pretty decent Comic-Con exclusives. I just don't think they were the best ones this year for My Hero Academia. The Pumpkin McNugget from McDonald's. When I seen this announcement, I was a little bit furious at first, because why are we getting more McNuggets pops for Comic-Cons? Like, why aren't we getting like different McDonald's mascots as Comic-Con exclusives and then have these McNuggets as like Target or Hot Topic or GameStop exclusives, or even Commons for that matter? But I feel like ever since this was announced, it started growing on me. So like, I'm starting to like this more and more, but I'm still not like a huge fan of it. I like the facial expression with this, with the chubby cheeks and the smile and everything, and kind of how they made the jack-o'-lantern in a way, especially with the McDonald's logo on top. I don't plan on getting this, but this is still pretty decent. And a pop that I 100% had pre-ordered at my local GameStop is Mo Shroot from The Office. This is fantastic. This is such a huge refresher as terms to the Office lineup, not only overall, but Comic-Con exclusives, because for the last, I would say now, 2 years, I believe, because since New York Comic Con 2019, we've been getting Office exclusive Comic-Con pops. We've been getting mainly Dwight Schrute up until Emerald City Comic Con earlier this year. And then FunCon, we got the Stanley, which was all right, but we already had some variants of Stanley previously. But this is the first ever Mo Schrute pop. And for Funko to do a brand new character for a Comic-Con exclusive for the Office lineup is just so great, especially with Mo's, in which I don't exactly know when they would have released Mo's. I mean, I kind of figured already they would have done a Phyllis and an Oscar, which they did, obviously, and a Ryan, 2 Ryans, actually. But Mo's seems like a character they could have made about maybe another year from now. This is great, and I can't wait to get this pop. This is probably one of the best Office pops they've done this year in 2021. Diamond Collection Eevee. This is okay. I'm still a little surprised, even though it's been about a week since the New York Comic Con pops have been released, that they decided to release only one Pokemon Comic Con exclusive when the trend since Emerald City Comic Con 2020 has been 2 Comic Con exclusive Pokemon pops. I don't know how that brown is going to turn out glitter, because I've never seen brown glitter before. Then we got Stitch with the rollers and the drawing, which I am starting to get so sick of Stitch pops. My hatred for Stitch pops is almost becoming like MD's hatred for Deadpool pops. It's getting up there. Why not just release new characters? Come on. There definitely is more characters that haven't been made in pop form, but you keep making Stitches. But it's all right, I guess. 3 Musketeers Goofy. This is pretty sweet. We already knew this was going to happen. I think this was like the most predictable pop going into this con, even once FunCon was done and no rumors had been made yet. We kind of figured we got Donald at WonderCon, we got Mickey at FunCon. It makes sense that we finish off that trio with Goofy going into New York Comic Con. And I don't know what it is. Even though they're all in the same pose, I kind of like the Goofy the best out of the 3, to be honest. Then we have the Dutch Child from It's a Small World. And I think if you've seen so many videos that we have done in the past, I mentioned that I hate seeing It's a Small World pops as Comic-Con exclusives. You could fill this with a different Disney licensor, or more specifically Pixar licensor like Up or Toy Story, to fill the role of a Comic-Con exclusive. These aren't appealing to me, and especially this was actually one of the site sitters after the pops had launched on the Thursday with the con stickers. Arthur pulling Excalibur from the Sword and Stone. This is pretty sweet. I haven't really seen the Sword in the Stone, but I can obviously tell like this has got to be like the whole point of the movie, which is really cool. And I think this is the best Sword in the Stone pop that Funko has made, both Comic-Con exclusive and essentially the common set that was announced. Yzma's cat in the Scout Leader outfit, this is pretty sweet. It's cool that we actually had gotten, I'm pretty sure, Emperor's New Groove pops for at least 3 out of the 4 Comic-Cons this year. And this is what I like to see from the Disney lineup. Not It's a Small World pops. I'd rather see Emperor's New Groove pops being made. And this is pretty decent. I like the purple eyes, but I do think that the Yzma's cat from San Diego Comic-Con last year is a little bit better than this pop, but this is still pretty decent. And the last pop we have here overall for New York Comic Con is the Jiraiya. And I think people have been mentioning this as Jiraiya with popsicles. This is okay. I'm sure a lot of Naruto fans are going to be getting this. And especially because I think this is the first standalone Jiraiya pop, because originally you can only get Jiraiya on the Pop Brides with the Toad exclusive to Hot Topic. And I guess for that matter, that also makes sense to be Hot Topic exclusive because the other Jiraiya was a Hot Topic exclusive. So obviously it makes sense for this to be shared. Unfortunately, for those that wanted this at Hot Topic, you have to wait till December since Hot Topic did announce that their New York Comic Con exclusives will be delayed until December for in-store pickup. My favorite and least favorite of day 2 reveals. My favorite has to be obviously Mo Schrute because I'm looking for a complete office set. And my least favorite is not the Pumpkin McNugget. It is obviously the Dutch Child from It's a Small World because of my point of how It's a Small World Comic-Con exclusives are pointless and I don't think they are appealing at all.
Okay, the second and unfortunately final day, we start off with My Hero Academia, which is awesome. We have the All Might, which looks pretty sweet. I mean, this kind of version of All Might always looks good, like DK had said, because you do get a little bit more detail out of a pop like that. I need to catch up on My Hero Academia. I believe I am just barely into season 3, so I need to catch up and kind of figure out what's going on. And then we have the Suyu, which is awesome. That is one of my favorite characters from My Hero Academia. So it's cool to see more pops for her, but it's just a clear version, which is kind of cool. But at the same time, it would have been awesome to maybe see like a new pose for Suyu. Then we have the Pumpkin McNugget. And I was very surprised, one, when I seen this pop, because I had kind of been thinking, okay, what other McNugget pops could we get? I didn't even think of a pumpkin version, and I'm so happy we got it. And then I was also surprised that they're calling it pumpkin and not jack-o'-lantern, because obviously that's a jack-o'-lantern, not a pumpkin. But this pop is so awesome. I really enjoy this. I love the McDonald's pop, so whenever they come out with anything McDonald's, I will definitely be grabbing it. And this is one of the better McNuggets, in my opinion. I really like the facial expression. He looks really adorable. Then we have Mose from The Office. And yeah, popped pretty huge for this. Awesome looking pop. I mean, I would have never even thought of a Mose pop for the Office lineup, but it makes so much sense. And yeah, this pop is just phenomenal. It looks so cool. And I wouldn't be surprised if people are just going nuts over this pop and it maybe being one of the more valued con pop from this con. The Diamond Collection Eevee, not surprised by this, but it also was a little shocking that we didn't get 2 pops. But I don't know how I feel about the Diamond Collection for con pops. Obviously, I don't like it, but at the same time, it's kind of nice that we're getting Diamond Collection for con pops because I'm not going to collect them, so I don't have to worry about struggling to buy one, I guess. Stitch from Lilo and Stitch with the kind of hair curlers and the drawing. It's all right, but yeah, I do agree that Stitch is kind of starting to get overplayed. I wouldn't say as much as Deadpool because the Deadpool ones are just ridiculous, but there's definitely been a lot of Stitch pops that we've seen recently even in the last 3 years, just so many. But I don't think it's a terrible pop, but I'm kind of getting sick of it. And then, not very surprisingly, we have the Goofy for the Three Musketeers. And I would have to agree, this is probably my favorite out of the trio. I don't know if, I like Donald the best as a character, but this Goofy pop definitely looks pretty sweet. I could see this one selling very well, considering it's the last kind of pop to fill out that set of 3 pops. Then we have the Dutch Child from It's a Small World, and I like the It's a Small World pops, and I think that this one is pretty decent. But I do have to agree with DK that these should not be con exclusives. When you're looking for a con exclusive, you're looking for like a heavy hitter pop that people are really going to like. For example, the Moe's, or like for me, the Pumpkin McNugget. And I feel like this would just make sense to be a Disney Parks exclusive rather than being a con pop. Wouldn't you rather go buy this pop in the gift store right by the It's a Small World ride? I mean, that just makes more sense to me than it being a con pop itself. Then we have the Arthur from The Sword in the Stone, and this pop is sweet. I'm surprised we haven't seen this pop beforehand, and I'm kind of surprised it's a con exclusive, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad it's a con exclusive because I think it deserves to be. This is a really cool looking pop. Then we have the Yzma as Cat in the Scout uniform, and this is awesome. I'm surprised that I didn't think of this when we saw the Kronk pop. I mean, now we have two of them, which is so cool. I'm surprised they're not a 2-pack, but at the same time, the other Kronk and Yzma that we got this year in the scientist's outfit, those weren't a 2-pack. So at the same time, like, I'm not really surprised, but this pop is wicked. I will definitely be getting this pop. I love the Emperor's New Groove pops, and I hope that we continue to see con pops for Emperor's New Groove going into 2022. And last but not least, we have Jiraiya, and this is a cool pop. I mean, it's the same thing that can be said with a lot of like anime pops, or more specifically Naruto, that they're going to sell well, especially when they're a con pop. And there's a lot of cool detail going with this. I think I might end up starting to collect anime pops coming down the line once I get more into watching more animes rather than just, let's say, Dragon Ball Z or My Hero Academia or more common stuff like that. Obviously, Naruto is one of the biggest animes, but I just haven't gotten around to it. And I think if I do, I will be digging myself a hole because there's so many good Naruto pops just like this Jiraiya. So my favorite pop from day 2 has to be the Pumpkin McNugget, because that is something that is one of my favorite things to collect right now, is one at Icons, like always, but more specifically the McDonald's pops, and that pop is awesome. And my least favorite has to be the Stitch, just because we've seen a lot of Stitch pops and we haven't seen the Dutch Child as a pop. So that's why it does get a little bit of a nudge in the rankings, I guess, by me.
Anyways, guys, that is going to be the end of this week's podcast. If you enjoyed this week's edition of a Funko Popcast, make sure you smash that like button, comment in the comment section below, and let us know what your favorite pops and least favorite pops were from New York Comic Con. Press that subscribe button for more content like this podcast and any other videos we do on this channel in the future, and press the little bell beside it to be notified of when that future content gets released. And if you guys haven't yet, follow us on all of our social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at a Funko Podcast. It'll be listed in the description below. But anyways, guys, thank you for listening to this week's podcast on New York Comic Con exclusive pops, and we hope to see you guys next week on a Funko Podcast. 1, 2, 3, I'm out of here.
Squeak 'em. Peace in, peace out.